Hey everyone, welcome back. Today we're taking a deep dive into something pretty powerful.
Powerful, yeah.
It's the power of saying no, but not just like a casual nope.
Right.
We're talking about using no strategically, like as a tool to set boundaries and really prioritize our own needs. You guys sent in some incredible material from
Amazing
the
stuff.
psychologists like Jordan Peterson, Henry Cloud, Gabor Maté.
Even Deepak Chopra?
Yeah, even Deepak Chopra. Get ready, folks, because this is going to transform how
I think so.
you view no forever. What's fascinating to me is how we're often conditioned to see
Absolutely.
as this like negative word.
Like we're being difficult or
Yeah.
rude or something.
Totally. But these experts are like flipping the script.
Yeah, they completely turn that on its head.
They argue that no is essential for self-respect,
It's crucial.
and it can even lead to long-term success.
Absolutely.
Okay, I'm hooked. Where do we even begin with all this?
Well, you included that famous Jordan Peterson quote.
Oh, yeah. Set your house in perfect order before you criticize the world.
Exactly. That's actually a great place to start.
Okay, but what does, like, setting your house in order have to do with saying no?
Think of it this way. Your personal boundaries are like the foundation of your house.
Okay,
Saying no is how you build those boundaries and protect them.
I see.
It's about respecting your time,
Yeah.
your energy,
Yeah.
your values. Without those strong boundaries, that foundation crumbles
Right.
and everything just feels chaotic.
That makes total sense. But for a lot of us, I think saying no just feels difficult. Why is that?
It's definitely a learned behavior.
Yeah.
We're often raised to please others,
Avoid conflict.
to avoid conflict. Exactly. Put others' needs before our own.
Right.
But as Dr. Henry Cloud points out, constantly saying yes,
Oh, yeah.
it can lead to burnout, resentment, and just like this feeling of
Losing control.
losing control over our own lives.
Totally.
Cloud actually calls this self-preservation, like protecting our own well-being by saying no when we need to.
So it's not selfish to say no.
Not at all. It's about having a healthy balance.
Okay.
You can be kind and generous
Mm-hmm.
without sacrificing your own needs.
Right.
And that brings us to another challenge. Guilt
The guilt. That's a big one for me.
for a lot of people.
I always worry about letting people down.
Gabor Maté's work is so helpful here.
Yeah.
He explains that guilt is often a learned emotion stemming from,
Childhood.
often from childhood.
Yeah.
It's not always a reflection of reality.
Okay.
It's more like a pattern we've developed.
It's like that feeling of obligation that just,
Pops up.
yeah, even when we know we should probably say no.
Exactly.
You know, something like that happened to me just the other day. I was asked to volunteer
Oh, yeah.
for this event, and I really didn't have the time, but I felt so guilty saying,
I've been there.
I ended up saying yes,
Oh, yeah.
and then feeling totally overwhelmed.
That's a perfect example of how guilt can just hijack our decision-making.
Wow.
And this is where the courage to be uncomfortable comes in.
Like Peterson talks about.
Exactly like Peterson talks about stepping outside our comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
And facing that guilt can actually be,
A good thing.
it can be a major catalyst for growth.
But it's not always easy.
Definitely not.
So how do we get better at saying no when that guilt monster
All right.
just pops up?
Well, let's talk about a technique that might help.
Okay, I'm all ears.
One technique that can be really helpful is the yes, but approach. It's a way to decline a request without sounding like you're,
Be mean.
without
Yeah.
sounding harsh or dismissive.
Yes, but. Okay, I like where this is going. Tell me more.
So it actually comes from cognitive behavioral therapy and assertiveness training.
Okay.
The idea is you first acknowledge the request. You're showing that you understand and respect the person's needs. But then you follow up with a clear explanation of why you're unable to fulfill it.
So instead of just a flat out no, it's more like, yes, I see you need help with that, but unfortunately.
Exactly. You're validating their feelings while still setting that firm boundary.
I can see how that would be so helpful in situations where you want to like maintain a good relationship.
Right.
Like let's say a coworker asks you to cover their shift, but you've already got plans. How would you use the yes, but in that scenario?
You could say something like, yes, I understand you're in a bind, but I've already committed to something else that evening.
Okay.
It's direct, but also respectful.
What about if like a friend asks you to help them move, but you physically can't?
You could say, yes, I'd love to help, but I have a back injury, and I can't risk re-injuring it.
Gotcha.
You see, you're acknowledging their request, but also stating your limitation.
So it's not just about saying no, but also about giving a reason.
Right. And sometimes the reason can be as simple as, I don't have time right now.
Okay.
You don't have to go into this long explanation.
Yeah.
The key is to be clear and confident.
This is making me rethink how I approach these situations. I always felt like I had to give a detailed excuse,
Right.
which just makes things awkward.
Yeah. A simple no thank you delivered with sincerity
Yeah.
can be incredibly powerful.
Really?
And there's also power in the silence that follows. Don't rush to fill that void. Let your no stand on its own.
Interesting. So it's not about over-explaining or apologizing. It's about just stating your no and owning it.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's about respecting yourself enough to set that boundary.
Oh,
Now, shifting gears a bit, let's talk about the long-term benefits of getting comfortable with no.
okay.
It's not just about avoiding being overwhelmed in the moment.
Right.
It's about creating space for what truly matters.
That reminds me of Deepak Chopra's perspective. He talks about how saying no to distractions is crucial for success.
Absolutely. Chopra believes that true success comes from eliminating the things that pull you off course and focusing your energy on what truly aligns with your purpose.
And it sounds kind of like what Peterson was saying about like saying yes to the things that take you further from who you want to be.
It's the same idea. It's like each no is a yes to something else, something more aligned with your goals and your values.
Exactly. Every time you say no to something that doesn't serve you, you're essentially saying yes to your own growth, your well-being, your vision for your life.
It's about making conscious choices about how you spend your time and energy.
Okay, I'm convinced saying no is like a superpower. But let's get practical. What are some actionable takeaways for our listener who's like ready to start flexing those no muscles?
Yeah, let's get into that. Yeah, a lot of people think it has to be this big dramatic thing,
Right.
you know?
Like you got to make a big scene about it,
Exactly. And it doesn't have to be like that at all. Remember, it's a skill.
right?
And like any skill, it takes practice.
So start small.
Start small, exactly. Like maybe it's declining that extra helping of dessert when you're already full,
Yeah.
or opting out of a social event that doesn't really appeal to you.
So basically looking for those low stakes situations to just practice.
Yeah, just to like flex those no muscles.
Yeah. And we talked about the power of silence earlier. Is there anything else to keep in mind when you're like delivering that no?
Oh, yeah. I think it can be really helpful to connect back to your values and goals. Like ask yourself, does saying yes to this align with who I want to be and what I want to achieve? If the answer is no, then that's your cue to politely decline.
So it's about being intentional with our choices
Absolutely.
and recognizing that every yes comes at a cost.
Every yes comes at a cost.
Exactly.
It all comes back to self-awareness and self-respect.
Yeah.
Saying no isn't about shutting people out.
Right.
It's about honoring your own needs and creating a life that feels authentic and fulfilling to you.
This has been such an eye-opening conversation. I feel like I've learned so much.
Me too.
To recap, saying no is a skill. It gets easier with practice, and it's ultimately about taking control of your life. Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
I'd like to leave our listeners with a little
I
challenge.
love a good challenge.
Now that you've explored all these different perspectives on the power of no, what's one small no you can practice saying this week? Something that will help you reclaim a little bit of your time, your energy, or just align yourself more closely with your values.
I love that. It doesn't have to be anything major. Just one small step towards setting those boundaries and putting yourself first.
It's a journey, not a destination. Every time you choose to honor yourself by saying no, you're taking a step closer to a life that feels more aligned, more empowered, and more truly your own.
That's beautiful. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time for another fascinating exploration. Until then, keep learning, keep growing, and keep saying no to the things that don't serve you.